Welcome, Night Owls, to the Book Club After Dark podcast, an inviting moonlit podcast. I'm your host, Danny.
And I'm Michelle. We break down fantasy, romantasy, and thriller novels.
All things enchanting, intriguing, suspenseful, and maybe a little spicy.
Each episode features intimate discussions on captivating stories, character breakdowns, fan theories, and more. And this is your content warning. This podcast contains mature themes and discussions that may not be suitable for all audiences. Episodes include explicit language and descriptions of mature romance, as well as depictions of violence and other intense subject matter. This podcast is rated R for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
And going forward from here, there's going to be lots of spoilers specifically for the entire Ruinous Love Trilogy. So you're going to hear spoilers that relate to this book, which is Butcher and Blackbird specifically. Also, the entire trilogy will be filled with spoilers, starting with this episode and continuing onward.
So let's get cozy because the best stories are told after dark.
Michelle, tonight's drink of the episode, I'm calling the Orb Weaver, and I know you love spiders because we've talked about this before. And you know that the Orb Weaver is a spider. I don't know if you knew that, but it is.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case,
that, yeah.
Orb Weaver, the Orb Weaver we're referring to is Miss Sloane. And she's orbing eyeballs. So tonight's drink, if you can see that in there, this is a frozen glass, but this is like a very dirty pickle martini. And our eyes that I have here as a garnish are garlic stuffed olives, like the giant green olives. And I added a little bit of like food coloring, like red food coloring on them. And then the martini itself has vodka, which you could use gin as well, up to you. Has pickle juice, which I actually had like some really good, like Costco, like a big thing of pickles. And I had to like filter this because it had like really fresh dill and stuff in it. So it was delicious. And if you're not a pickle person, this is not going to be a drink for you. But I love pickles. So you take that with what you will. But the drink itself also has vermouth, of course. So it's a classic, very classic cocktail. So that's 2 classic cocktails in a row. Ooh. But yeah, this is the Orb Weaver. And yeah, she's a hoot. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fun. It's definitely like Halloween-y, even though it's August, but it's October. So, you know. And
yeah, but
I will say
so good.
So I love pickles. However, I haven't had pickle and alcohol since my bachelorette party.
Ooh, pickleback. What did you have, like a pickleback shot?
I had a pickleback, and that's the one that did me in, and I don't recall anything after that event.
Did you have like a Jameson shot and then like a pickleback, or what was your shot? Something like that?
Yeah, I think it was. Okay. Yeah, it was something like that. It was definitely it was whiskey. No, it was bourbon.
Okay.
Yeah, bourbon whiskey.
Ooh.
So. Yeah,
if it's not good bourbon. I can just imagine. Yeah.
So I haven't had pickle and alcohol, but that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it actually is. I'm honestly not a big martini drinker unless it's an espresso martini, which
those are good.
That with like a Caesar salad, like girl dinner, I'm about it. Give me some truffle fries and like a Caesar salad and a good espresso martini. I'm there. But the dry, dirty martini done well is really delicious. And I've never had one with the pickle juice. Usually it's olive juice, right, that you put in there.
Yeah.
And I love olive juice too, but I wanted to try it because it's been pretty viral, and especially over the summer. There was a lot of like poolside pickle, dry martini poolside recipes that I was looking for. And I was like, man, I wonder when we're going to have an opportunity to use this. And then I was like, the 2 eyes, the olives. And funny story, on Brynne Weaver's Instagram, she has a drink recipe that I wanted to make, which was actually a different Orb Weaver style drink, but it used lychee. And so like lychee, like you've seen them, they're like a whitish colored fruit. And like when they hang open, they could look like dismembered eyes. They could definitely look, yeah. And so there's a really cool recipe that's on her website with like food coloring and stuff that for the eyes. And I wanted to make that. And I remember telling you, like, I've been to 3 stores and I cannot freaking find lychee anywhere. So unfortunately, that's not the way that we went here. And that is how a different Orb Weaver in the pickle dirty martini was born. And so there we have it. Cheers.
Here we go.
Well, this episode, as I started with their spoiler warning, we are exploring Butcher and Blackbird. I'm a little bit excited by Brynne Weaver. So whether you're reading along with us or you're just here for the book talk, we are really glad that you're here. While we're exploring Butch and Blackbird, we're doing this episode a little bit differently versus like a full romantasy deep dive like we did with Quicksilver, and even differently than we just did with the massive Twilight coverage. So we don't have a movie yet, keyword. So we won't be comparing that just yet, but we do have a guest, Natalie from Nat Just Cakes, who's one of our good friends now, and honestly just one of the best people that we've had on to interview, is part of this episode with us. So she will be joining us as part of this episode. And also the way we're going to kind of lay out this book is we're going to first talk about trigger warnings, because this is really the first series that we've done that's truly in the dark romance genre. So I think it's important that we kind of talk about that. Then we're going to go through setting, plot, kind of similar to our thrillers, because let's face it, this is like a thriller, dark romance comedy. I mean, I would think that this book kind of hits all of those points. And then we're going to kind of wrap with the full analysis of their competition, the plot points, major themes, and kind of conclude with the overall thoughts of the book itself, with some spice and some different features throughout the book that we took as takeaways. And we'll talk a little bit about the bonus chapter and the epilogue. And we'll wrap with our mystery Q&A, as always. That's what we've got planned.
All right, let's get into our trigger warnings, or, our recipe for whatever you're interested in. So this this is a dark romantic comedy, like Danny said, and there are about 14 different bullets of the trigger warnings. So there are many. Eyeballs and eye sockets, amateur surgery, skin ornaments, chainsaws, axes, knives, scalpels, a lot of very sharp objects, accidental cannibalism, not so accidental cannibalism, use of a mummified corpse, lobotomized manservant, ill-advised use of kitchen implements, and I totally
love that one.
I forgot this part was in there when I reread the book. I'm like, oh yeah, they did that. Cookies and cream ice cream.
What didn't they do?
Very, very detailed sex scenes, which include
graphic,
but are not limited to a lot of different kinks that you could read for your own. References to parental neglect and child abuse, very, very brief. Parental loss, not depicted. References to child sexual assault, not in detail. And, it's a book about serial killers, so pretty much messed up murders and chaos.
Yes,
it's a good time.
Serial unaliving happening. Yeah, I liked, one of my favorite parts of this book was the trigger warnings page, because you can tell right away that Brynne is funny. She's a funny author. She takes the list seriously, but she'll be like, "I'm sorry about the cookies and cream ice cream, parentheses, not really. I'm not really." And stuff like that, where it's just, she puts humor and lines it in with the darkness. And I think if you're a first time dark romance reader, or, you want to dip your toe into dark romance, I think this is even a better place to start than Lights Out for me personally. That's how I felt about it. I love Lights Out too, but I also felt like this book in particular, and this series really in general, brings in different subgenres very, very well that, aren't as stereotypical to dark romance, and I think they kind of stand alone. I feel like her work stands alone as an author in this genre, and she does it incredibly well.
Yeah, I agree. If you're listening to it, because I listened to it the first time around, the trigger warnings are actually really funny as being told, because the characters are telling them, and they're switching back and forth, and just the characters are laughing about them also. So again, it does introduce the comedic element from the very first page before you even dive into the story.
Yeah, and the fact that she, wrote the book for those who read the trigger warnings and said, accidental cannibalism, count me in. This one's for you. It just tells you like the type of author that she is, and we're here to have a good time. What I also love, and this is like kind of typical if you're new to dark romance, you may not realize this, but a lot of dark romance authors will give you a playlist. So she has really cool QR codes, and also a couple different songs that go throughout our book. And so of course, when we do the drink of the episode and then we post our little thumbnail of this episode, we're going to pick a song from here for that. But I like that. I don't necessarily always listen to all of them, but I like that the option is there. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
It's immersive. I mean, I would like to know, it kind of adds a little bit of behind the scenes in terms of like what the author was actually thinking in mood and, you know, what they're trying to get at when it comes to a certain scene. It adds more depth to a character. So I do like that that's included. That can add just another immersive experience to your reading.
Agreed. Let's get into the main characters. So now that we've kind of laid out the groundwork of what we're getting into, and what's nice is the trilogy is set up similarly. So we'll talk about that with the start of each of these books. The main characters here, we have Sloane, who's our main female protagonist, who the book starts out from her perspective first. I love that we have right out of the gate dual point of view throughout this book. I really enjoyed that. And then we have Rowan, or Rowan, depending on how you pronounce it, who is known as the Butcher. So you have Sloane, who is Blackbird, and Rowan, who is the Butcher. And a little bit about Sloane. She's AKA Orb Weaver, who our drink of the episode is titled after. A known unaliver, serial unaliver, who also kills other serial unalivers. She works for a medical company in real life, which her serial killing is known as Orb Weaver. She works on clinical trials. So she's like your very classic introvert to a T. Like she avoids other humans like as much as possible unless she's unaliving them. Like that's the only time she really wants to like be around other people, and that she functions well around other people is oddly enough when she's removing them from life. And then well, except for Lark. Lark is that one kind of anomaly.
Yeah, that's her girl. That's her soulmate.
Yes, that is. And Rowan, who's Butcher, he is known as the Boston Butcher, which I thought that was a pretty cool serial unaliver name. He's also a serial killer who, he's a serial killer who kills serial killers, but he's a restaurant owner. So he's a little bit different. Obviously, it's a little bit more social because of this sort of, but he's definitely rough around the edges. And he kind of reminds me of, did you see The Bear? Did you ever watch The Bear at all? No. So not the actor, because the actor to me doesn't seem like Rowan at all. But
that's on FX, right?
Show, yeah.
I think the
show The Bear is like very intense, and like the final Butcher and Blackbird restaurant kind of reminded me of The Bear at the end, and the intensity of it, especially because it takes place in a major city. The Bear takes place in Chicago, but I visually was thinking about that because I don't know if you do this when you read, but like I know we talked about Great Gatsby in our thriller episode and how you're like mentally kind of imagining that. I kind of do that while I'm reading too, where I'm like, what does this remind me of, and like how can I picture certain scenes and characters, and that's kind of where that took me. So that really leads us very well and nicely into the setting. And the setting actually moves and jumps across different parts of the United States because Sloane and Rowan compete in an annual killing showdown. Because of course they do. Why wouldn't they?
And
tell us about the plot, Michelle.
To be fair, the showdown is to kill other serial killers who are bad people. So, you know, there's okay.
No, it's very Dexter. We're getting Dexter vibes,
very,
for sure.
very much so. All right. So with plot, we have our main introductions. And the way the story starts out, you're not eased into anything. You start off with Sloane. She's been locked in a cage for 3 days with a dead body. No AC, Louisiana. It's hot as fuck in there. And there is literally the decaying corpse. She refers to the maggots that are literally bubbling in his stomach. Like little orzos.
Michelle, I literally just took a bite of olive from the drink.
And now it's ruined.
It's my own fault. Like I knew this was coming, so I have no one to blame but myself, but I still somehow wasn't mentally prepared. But I don't want to continue, by all means.
This is our first food that is ruined, which is orzo. So picture little maggots and little orzos crawling across the floor. So pretty disgusting scene overall. And then in comes Rowan, who oddly enough is there to kill the guy that Sloane just killed. And Rowan's like, oh, hey, what are you doing here? And they have this really funny moment where Rowan starts fangirling over Sloane because he realizes she's the Orb Weaver, and she's like, oh my god, I look like shit, and he's obviously like super handsome, but he's like fangirling over her, and he's like asking her questions about like, how do you create the patterns, and oh my god, and you know, like it's like Pokemon
and
cards,
she's like, I've been in here for 3 days,
get me out, please.
Like so like right away you have this like incredibly gruesome scene followed by like humor. And that's what I was saying about Brynne is like she just writes in such a way that she takes really dark elements and injects humor in ways that make it entertaining. And yeah, it's dark and it's fucked up. There's no denying that. She just even says that. She's like, "Look, I write some dark, fucked up shit." Like there's no sugarcoating that. But she injects humor at these really great times. Like she's literally sitting there in this cage, and now her like number one fan, who is another serial unaliver, is like, "Oh my god, hey," like wants to chat with her, and she's like, "Can you just like get me out? Like, can you like, can?" And he's like, "Do you want to go to lunch? Like, we could go to lunch." And she's like,
Barbecue.
"What the fuck, man? Like, I'm literally, yeah." She's like, "What the fuck? I guess. Like, if you're just, can you just get me out? Like, what the hell?" And that's when we start to switch perspectives. We start hearing, right away, we start getting Rowan's perspective, which I actually really loved, because a lot of books we read, it will be female main character for a while. And then if we get the male main character, it's like like a Xaden, right? Or a Kingfisher. It's like a little blurb here or there, unless it's a thriller. Thrillers tend to jump a lot, but then usually have multiple characters. But it's still, I liked the pacing that it was almost like every other, close to.
I
like
did too.
Every other, yeah.
Right. And a lot of times with thrillers, the multiple POVs is more to advance the plot, whereas this, it is to advance the plot, but it's also to get more in depth in your characters. So there's more of that emotional element that we see more with romanticities in getting the like dual. So I did love that, because Rowan's perspective of Sloane, because Sloane's like, she doesn't think she's amazing. And the entire time Rowan's like drooling all over her, like just really just loves her so much. And he's just like, "Why don't you see how amazing you are, even though you're wearing like some serial killer you just unalives like band t-shirt, no bra, and his jeans, but you look absolutely like stunning." So
yeah. And like it's definitely he fell first type situation. Like, he fell first for sure. Super sweet. And I think on your point of like advancing the characters emotionally, because they're two serial unalivers, they are not very emotionally outspoken people. Especially Sloane. She keeps so many of her cards like close to her chest, and you wouldn't know if you only had one perspective. You just wouldn't know that about her. And same with Rowan. You wouldn't know that about him either, because when you're talking about these types of people who have a lot of trauma, have been through a lot in their lives, you need to it's almost a requirement, in my opinion, to get both sides. Otherwise, the story doesn't move as well. You just don't you don't have the empathy or sympathy for some of the characters and understanding of where they're coming from without it.
No, I agree. And especially when you're dealing with like such a very sensitive and graphic topic, where like literally there's like death and chaos, you need to give them the human element that they actually have. They're not like just monsters, even though they kind of see themselves as monsters, but they're not so much, because I mean, they realize that their same target is the serial killers. That's all they're after. They literally just track down who horrible people are around the entire United States, and they plot to, remove them from this earth. And they realize this. And then Rowan's like, "Well, there's like actually this guy in like Oregon, Washington area, and he's killed like maybe 12-ish people. So how about like we do a competition, and whoever wins the competition every August gets to kill that guy." It's like, okay, cool. Competition to kill people as a prize to kill people. Okay, cool. So, and that is it. And if they ever tie, they break the tiebreaker with rock, paper, scissors. So
yeah. What I also loved, and we talked about this with Natalie, but is the pacing, because Sloane and Rowan are who they are. This goes over years. This is not like a quick thing. 1 year later, Sloane waits for a text from Rowan, and she's like excited about this text from him, and she tries like not to let on like how and so she has a guy restrained, right, of course, on a table. And so I watched Dexter back in the day, so I'm like thinking of like his like kill room or whatever, and she's just like waiting by the phone with this guy just like tied up, and like you don't basically. And she gets a call from Lark, who book 2 follows Lark, and it's her best friend. So Sloane is like asking questions about her sanity, but if you start to know Lark, she's probably not the best person to ask that to, but I digress. Asks questions about her sanity, and she's like, she's like, I'm on an adventure. She continues her conversation with Lark, and she's cutting through this guy who's on the table, who we find out is a child predator. And so we have no sympathy for this guy on the table.
Nope.
And so there is a text from Rowan, and Lachlan is going to give them the first location. And so Lachlan, we know, is in Leather and Lark. So he's Leather. So Leather and Lark is where we see Lachlan and Lark. So they get introduced fairly early on. And they're very much minor characters. This is the Sloane and Rowan story. It's just setting us up to know that there are other characters and we might see them later, which we do. So the location, this is a play of fairness, because Sloane was like, you can't tell me the location because then you're going to know who we're going to go after. Like, I need to know. You can't do that. Like, somebody else has to do it. Then she's like, well, if your brother tells you, like, isn't he just going to give it away? And he's like, no.
Nope.
He's not. He's a dick. Like, he's not going to tell me anything. And he's like, if anything, he wants you to win. And so it's in Ivydale, West Virginia, and she gets ready to leave. And his brothers are hoping he's losing the competition, as I said. And Fionn is the youngest, so we get introduced to him a little bit early on. They end up making it to West Virginia, and they're sitting in the lobby of an inn, and Rowan finally walks up to her. And this is where we first have this kind of wondering. And there was this flirtatious banter a year ago. And so you're thinking, like, they must have been, like, texting this whole time or, like, talking a lot. No, they have not been. It's been real intermittent, almost none at all. Rowan walks up to her reading and gives her a sarcastic comment about reading monster porn. And the way I died when I read this the first time, I was like,
a sentient dragon with like a
yeah.
No, that's definitely funny. But the way they're like nonchalant, when I was first reading this, they're like, Sloane's like very nonchalantly at an inn in the lobby at 2 a.m. It's like, girl, why aren't you in your room? But this is part of the competition. They have to observe, right? They have to observe what's going on. And Rowan is also in the lobby, and he just steals a bottle of wine, and they just are chatting. And the innkeeper actually comes in and is like, you guys good? Like, why are you guys here? But they're like, they're trying to figure out who they're after, because literally the only clue they got was like a location, and they have to like go based on like newspaper clippings or any of their research on like who the killer could be, who the target is. So they're pretty confused, like for 3 days they're pretty confused on who the target is. And then Sloane goes on like a date with the innkeeper, which pisses Rowan off because he's like very jealous and he's in love with her from a distance. He's been pining, and Sloane comes back 3 hours later.
For a year.
And she's back.
It's not like he's been pining for like a short period of time. Like he knew who she was. So this is not, in my mind, insta love, but we can get on that tangent another time. Keep going.
So Sloane goes back to her room, and Rowan can hear music, and she may be having some fun with some vibrations in her room. And then he also hears the sound of someone in the walls that sounds like he's watching someone having fun with some vibrations in her room. So realizes that there's a man in the walls, and he like breaks through the wall to like try to get this guy. And the guy like takes off. He's like, oh shit. And Sloane gets pissed. She's like, you fucking pervert, like how dare you. And they ultimately realize that the innkeeper is the target that they're after, and they go chase him down, and it becomes this whole thing. Rowan actually becomes the one that ultimately kills him because he tries to like drive out. Yeah, he tries to drive away in his car, and then Rowan jumps on his car. He crashes into a tree, and then Sloane just is like in shock, and Rowan just like beats the shit out of him.
Grabs him,
just
and
punches
beats the
him
shit out of him
until
he dies.
There's nothing.
Yep.
He's just like in pure anger.
Like he keeps going, and Sloane
this
is like,
where
like freaked out, but like not.
But this is where you get the "you touched her and she's mine," like the "I'm mine" trope, or "she's mine" trope. Yeah, I was like, yes, I love that. Yeah. So, and that's just when you're first introduced to like, oh, he's really serious about her. But
and what I like about Brynne
like
is she is. But like what I like about Brynne is like she's not hinting at he fell hard first. No, he's verbalizing it. He just literally killed a man. It's not a maybe. Like he is all in,
We're
right
putting
there.
eyes on her,
And
basically.
yes, like
I mean, he violated her privacy 1000%. It wasn't just he like looked at her. Like that was not an okay thing. We don't watch people through walls.
No.
With paintings.
But I think Sloane also knew to a certain extent, you know, that there was definitely a target nearby. She kind of was playing up a certain game. But when she sees this happen with Rowan, she kind of doesn't touch it, but she also isn't super judgmental of it either, of the way that this happened. She could see that like something snapped in him because he like was punching the guy way longer than he needed to be. The guy had been dead and he's just still like punching the shit out of this guy. And Sloane's not one to scare or, you know, run easily. She might run, but she's not scared by anyone. And I think even here she starts to identify that while there are issues, that she kind of sees herself in him to a certain extent. Yeah.
I'd agree. Yeah. She sees the darkness in him because she sees that in herself as well. So that there's something behind that. Right. Like there's some trauma there that he needs to unpack. So, which makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And then we talk about pacing. So they literally clean up the property. 3 days to wipe the scene of any sort of trace of them. And then jumps to 6 months later. They've been texting. Lark's like, you know, Rowan's great for you. And then 3 months after that, she's like literally standing in front of Three and Coach, which is Rowan's restaurant. And she just like awkwardly wants to talk to him and just sits in his restaurant and like eats food and then like leaves.
Yeah.
And this whole time I'm like, yeah, she doesn't know how to social. You're just saying that she's like very introverted, or at the beginning you were saying she's introverted. She literally does not know how to socialize outside of like having a knife in her hand. It's very very difficult for her. So this was a very hard. I mean, it's a struggle for everyone. Let's be real.
Yeah,
talking to people in public.
But I was what we were saying. We were talking about if and when we meet fans, which we have before. But if when we meet fans, it's like, don't think it's you. It's definitely us. Just so as you know, like it is not you. It is us. We are trying to figure out how to be extremely bookish and social at the same time.
I'm not social.
We're trying.
That's all we can give. Our best.
Yeah.
And that's all Sloane can give is her best. And her best is let me get the fuck out of here. Which didn't work out too well in her favor.
It didn't. And she feels like she sees Anna in like this other woman who hugs Rowan. And she feels like she's just like makes an excuse because Rowan recognizes her. And she feels like that she read everything wrong, because she's historically thought that way about herself. And she's so kind of insecure about her social understanding of other people. And she's just so kind of broken in that way that she just second guesses everything. So it just is failed. And like your heart kind of breaks for her in that moment.
Yeah.
Because she like put herself out there and like flew up there and you're like rooting for her. And it just didn't go well. And he doesn't chase after her or anything. But she kind of gave this excuse of like, oh, I'm like here for a work thing or whatever. And she just like lied about why she was there. Mm-hmm. So 3 weeks later, Rowan, being the charming devil that he is, flies to where she lives. Because of course he knows where she lives. And bribes a kid to go to Sloane's door and drop off a paper bag, and he basically cooks with her, and it's orzo pasta,
so cute,
of course, which opened the book with that. And he guides her over the phone of how to prepare the food that he delivered, because he understands through his own trauma that he's gonna scare her away if he does too much, and he realizes that he's got to kind of like hold her hand metaphorically and kind of get her through some of this by not overwhelming her, because if he showed up at her door, it would have scared the shit out of her, and she would have just been like, this is too much for me, I can't do this, she would have pushed him away right away. And so instead he does this over 3 days, and he gets her different food, and she learns how to cook, and they have different small talk about what she does. and for Rowan, why he loves to cook, it was his coping mechanism to escape his childhood. And, this happens over 3 days and he flies back home. So then we have the second game. Michelle, tell us about the second game.
Second game. So they are hunting Thorsten Harris, which his actual name we find out is Jeremy Carmichael, but we refer to him as Thorsten because that's who he's referred to as throughout the majority of the book. And basically you're dropped into like Sloane offering a date to him, and she's like in this restaurant and trying to chat him up because her whole goal is to be invited to his place. And then all of a sudden Rowan fucking appears and was like, hey, mind if I join you? And he also gets invited to
and Sloane's like, what
house.
The fuck? I got him on a date. Yeah. Like, I know who our person is. Like, I know who this guy is. I will kill him. She's pissed. It's hilarious.
It's like when you do a group project with someone and you do like 95% of the work and the person did like the title page and you both get the A and it's like, I'm sorry.
Or the teacher is like, wow, so-and-so, I didn't realize you had all that in you. And you're like, bitch, they didn't. I did. They didn't have any of that in them. What are you talking about? Like, yeah. So Sloane's like, hello, Easy A. No.
Me?
No.
Yeah. Well, Rowan
you just show up here.
He gets his punishment for doing that. So because Sloane does her homework on Thorsten and what he does. So the next day they are invited to dinner at his house. And Thorsten has this mute servant, which is David Miller. And he's like, he doesn't talk. He's very like, can't see anything. Comments that he had a lobotomy.
It's weird.
So brain dead.
She thinks
likely.
that he had a lobotomy. Like that there's something, wrong.
Right.
Absolutely.
So they sit down for dinner, which is served by David Miller, and there are multiple courses. So Sloane is very much paying attention to the food that is being served. So first course is goat cheese crostini with olive tapenade. Next is gazpacho, more wine, but Sloane realizes Thorsten doesn't drink it. So she's immediately like, no, I'm not going to drink it then if he's not drinking it. But Rowan starts chugging. And
because he's so arrogant.
He is.
This motherfucker. He's so arrogant.
Yes, and he's just charming. He's charming him up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he's also like the butcher. So, he's just going to do it with brute force. Like, nothing can take me down, type of mentality of like, I'll fucking kill them, whoever they are. Like, I'll just fucking, I'm not worried about it. And just like the brute strength mentality. And this bites him in the ass here.
Or he honestly thinks he can just outsmart everyone as well if he can't with brute strength. So,
he's arrogant.
Which doesn't work here. So he actually becomes like very intoxicated and drugged, and he goes to Sloane at this point that he's like vowed abstinence over her and like how much he loves her and that sort of thing, which is really cute. But we have our next food that is ruined with it, which is a beef niçoise salad.
Yes.
And it's well, we say beef because that's what Rowan says, and he's like, I love beef, and Thorsten's like, yeah, it's a niçoise salad. And my own special take, of course. And Rowan takes a bite, ignoring Sloane, and Sloane's the entire time like, stop it, don't eat it.
Yeah.
And he's just like, it's just like delicious.
Stop. Yeah.
Another
She's like trying
bite.
to mouth it to him. Yeah, and the audio, like, she's, like, trying to mouth it to him, like, I'm trying to, like, it's in her perspective, and you hear her voice, and she's like, I'm trying to, like, fucking mouth it to this idiot who keeps on, and I'm, like, dying laughing while I'm listening to this. My husband's like, what are you listening to? And then I was like, you have to listen to this book. I think you'd really enjoy it. So he actually listened to Butcher and Blackbird and rated it very highly. He loved it. Yeah. Because he was kept seeing me laughing. He's like, what the hell's going on? Like, you read romantasy. Like, what is so funny? Like, you're talking about dragons and shit. What's going on? I'm like, no, this one's a totally different thing.
There's a dragon in this one.
Not that he doesn't. Well, not that he doesn't love dragons, but my point being is like he's like usually don't laugh to this extent. Like Riddick had me laughing here and there, but like this scene, because this goes on for a while, I was like laughing. I'm like making my son's bed, like cackling listening to this because I had already read the physical book, and then I'm listening to the audio back, and like the way like that he's like trashed, like trying to talk to her, and he's Sloane, and like that he's absent and stuff, and he has this accent, and the voice actors for this book are just so fucking good. Phenomenal. They're so good. Mm-hmm. Oh, they're so good. And so like I was just I was dead. I was dying. I was dying listening to this.
This is probably like my favorite competition. Like I really loved this section of the book. It was hilarious because they're more comfortable with each other as well, so you see
Oh yeah.
more of that banter. But anyway, so after a second bite, Rowan literally passes out, and Sloane's
Thank
like,
God.
Thorsten's thinking Sloane is also drunk, but then to his surprise, she's not, and then she pulls out a knife on him, and then we've switched to Rowan's perspective, which is kind of funny because Rowan wakes up like, what the fuck just happened? And then like there's literally like she's like plucking an eyeball out of his eye as he's like waking up, and
Thorsten.
he's like
Yeah.
out of Thorsten's eye, and he like Thorsten dies, or he doesn't die, he like passes out from like all the pain because she's plucking the eyeballs and finishing all of her like orb weaving stuff going on, and tells him that he actually ate a person and she was trying to warn him, and he immediately starts vomiting, and so he obviously didn't have a fun time with that. But then we also get our third food that is ruined for us because they need to check on David Miller, and Sloane the entire time's like, what's going on in there is pretty fucked up, so I don't really want to go into the kitchen because he's like double fisting raw sausages and like just eating a bunch of food, and she knows all of it's made from human remains, so she's just
because
I don't want to do it.
Thorsten's a really fucked up serial killer, which we didn't really say that already. Like, this guy is like really disturbed, really fucked up guy. Like, some of the human flesh, he was talking about how you have to take it off of them while they're living to preserve it at the highest like quality, and like the guy, and he's like, he's trying to tell Sloane as this is going on too, like why he actually is a connoisseur of what he does. Like, he's just like he's such an arrogant, like total Thorsten piece of shit, that the guy that they're after for this one, that you're just like, wow, what the fuck
it's
is that?
So that's
dark.
So he's the very intentional cannibalism. Rowan obviously was the accidental cannibalism that happened because he Sloane had to like scoop out the rest of the skin meat off. Actually, rump roast. He was eating ass, actually, is the term. And then we have our next food group. So because they go check on David Miller, and David Miller's just like casually just spooning ice cream out of a tub. Turns out you can use other liquids instead of just like cream for milk. You can also use semen in place.
I'm going to show you something that our mutual friend made this. A different Michelle made this for us. So Michelle, if you're listening, you have to see this. This is the magnet you made me, and I'm showing it right now on the show. It's called Cookies and Cream Trauma, and it's this cool magnet of quite literally the cookies and cream ice cream with the trauma. And like, if you know, if you read the book, you would know what this reference is. And so I died when she gave me that. And I was like, okay, now it's on my little bookshelf. So we all know about our cookies and cream trauma.
There we go. And it was freshly gathered semen, April 10th through the 13th. Very specific.
God. Yeah, it was like dated. I mean, this Thorsten guy was like
very thorough.
Something.
He didn't want.
He was something.
He wanted to catalog everything, but we're thinking poor David Miller this whole time. He like has no brain,
right,
and
lobotomy,
can't like do anything.
He's a victim,
right? And he's just like he doesn't know what he's doing, so he's just eating all the shit. And Sloane ends up telling Rowan because she saved him from dying and choking and cannibalism. That he needs to take David back with him and give him a job because this poor guy.
At this point I was like, Sloane, girl, what are we doing?
He's like, why do we
what the fuck?
I understand we have a savior mentality, but like this random, like just drop him off at like some homeless shelter and he'll be fine, or a hospital. He'll sort himself out. Someone must be looking for him. But no, he becomes Rowan's problem ultimately.
Yeah, he does. And Rowan's too in deep with Sloane, like he just can't say no to her. One other really cool thing about this specific one was that you actually get to see Sloane and her orb weaving magic of like what she does, and you kind of realize that what she does with the spider web of like taking the eyes and the different body parts is like a GPS like location thing. It's crazy, like what she actually does with her intricacies of her kills. It's
Yeah,
a
it's not
whole
just art.
system.
She's
No.
basically trying to tell the FBI or whoever's investigating this the different locations of the killings that
Yep.
were linked to this
Past
person.
kills.
But
Right.
she's
They're
like,
too
no
stupid to
one's
figure
figured it out yet. No one's figured it out yet. They're like, oh, it's pretty strings.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, they just think it's like her
No.
call sign. Like, oh, the
Right.
orb weaver was here. And she's like, no, you idiots. Like, I'm telling you
Telling
what
you.
these people have
Yep.
done. Hello. And you're just like only focusing on me.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Oh, gosh. But then we get a time skip. So tell us about what happens 8 months later.
8 months later, Sloane and Rowan are meeting, and it's the first 6 months after the competition. So they've been speaking, every day, and they haven't talked a lot because Rowan is opening a second restaurant, which she doesn't really know about. They don't ask a lot about each other's personal lives too much. It's kind of just like witty banter, and she continuously has like doubts about Rowan's feelings for her because she's like, why would he want me? He has such a full life. Like from her perspective, she went to Boston, she saw what she thought was a very full life for him, and she just doesn't have that. She sees herself as like not having anything to offer because she feels like there's just nothing there that she can bring. But now she gets invited to Best of Boston gala, and it's his birthday, and it's an opportunity to go. And so he asks her to go, and she looks hot. She even talks about it. Lark talks to her. She's like, girl, you look hot. They drink, they hit the dance floor. Rowan tells Sloane that the real fun is that they have a target. And so Dr. Stefan Rustis is the person that he wants to take out, and that he's killed multiple patients, at least 6 that he knows of over the last 15 years, and Rowan wants to make sure he gets taken rid of. And so Sloane is like, I thought this was a date.
I like a date.
And
Oh.
yeah, and it just didn't go well. Rowan texts her, it gets interrupted, and they end up there. They'll see each other in August. So it brings us to the third game, because now we're having August meetups every time. So now she just feels like validated in her thoughts that he's not actually interested in her. Meanwhile, Rowan's like, well, I don't want to scare her off, so like maybe if I bring a game in, she'll feel more comfortable. Like he just has they're just like missing each other, constant
Right.
like classic miscommunication trope. But I think in this way, it doesn't bother me as much as say like Violet and Xaden, because we don't have an age kind of thing. We have like more of a trauma response issue where it bothered me to a point, but it also didn't last for like an entire book. You know what I'm saying? Like Iron Flame, I was like, girl. And like didn't make logical sense to me either. And so like for me with this, there's a lot of logic-based reasoning to why the miscommunication trope can work, and why Brynne Weaver writes a miscommunication trope in a way that I can actually get behind and want to read, which is saying something, because it's one of my least like favorite types of tropes out there. But she does it in a way that works because it feels real. And that's the difference between reading it in a way that, and nothing against Rebecca Yarros. I love her, all her stories, but for me, it just dragged. I felt like Violet's whole situation, I was like, girl, you've been in the military family for how long? And like, now you're mad that he can't tell you things. Like, anyway, Iron Flame spoilers. Sorry. Tell us about the third game.
All right, third game. So third game's 4 months later. They're at a dilapidated Texas farmhouse, and the way I'm like Texas Chainsaw
This one's
Massacre.
crazy.
This one's
crazy.
basically, yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre the whole time. And they're like standing outside the house, like, okay, this is pretty fucked up. Why don't we go like get beer instead? But we're not normal people, so this is what we're gonna do. And there's literally like screaming and then laughter and chainsaw, like bass, like haunted horror house. And so their target is Harvey Mead is this guy, and there's like literally like
even now I like
everywhere.
don't like his name. I'm like,
yeah. It's this is a tough one because he's so fucked up. If Sloane wins, Rowan wants her to take only one eye out so he can see all the torture that they're going to do to him because he's really fucked up. So Sloane enters through the front door. They do rock, paper, scissors to see how they enter. So Sloane loses. So she goes through the front door while Rowan goes in the back. And there's a body of a mummified woman that's likely Harvey's
Here's our
mother,
mummy.
just kind of sitting there, right? Just just sitting there under a
giving
crochet
Psycho.
blanket. Just a little bit. And she's like, oh, well, someone has mother issues and that makes sense, but also doesn't justify your actions. And she's like going through the house, trying to figure out like, you know, where this guy is. It's like oddly quiet. And she stumbles across like a room that has like monitor feeds from 18 cameras. So this is like a monitor room.
Oh my God, the way my stomach dropped at this part. I was like, whoa,
like,
no.
yeah.
A semi-competently intelligent psycho. Ugh.
Right. Yeah.
Because the house is disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
dilapidated,
decay. Filthy, but he's got 18 cameras going and like a smart room in this house where you can see all the monitors. And I was just like, fuck. When I read this the first time, I was like, oh shit. Yeah, it was not.
It reminds me, and this might not have been a game that you ever played. It's relatively recent-ish. So there's this horror game called Dead by Daylight, and basically it's like you're a serial killer, and you're like going around like killing different people, and one person is a chainsaw. So basically, like it seems like he's trying to like lock people in the house and have a game with them, which is why he's laughing all the time. It's really fucked up. So she sees Rowan enter the living room, and then she sees Harvey stalking down the hall towards him. So she like starts running because she like wants to warn him, and then she literally gets a boot in the face because he catches her off guard, and then she falls and like dislocates / like breaks her like shoulder. So she's like not in good shape, and he like grabs her from her head and like drags her across the house into like this cellar
thing, like outside. Yeah. It's not even like, but, like attached to the house. It's like outside by her hair. Yeah.
The whole time.
By her hair.
Like, oh, that's awful. Oh, like you're losing so many like bald spot, but that's not the main point. But I'm just And then there's another woman in there who's like naked, and she's like terrified. But like, and then obviously Sloane has her phone, and like Rowan immediately comes and saves her. And the way that he saves her, but they leave the other girl behind because they're like, listen, we don't have time. We'll come back for you. And I'm like, oh, that poor girl. Cause she's like freaking the fuck out because there's freedom. Yeah. And then it's like, no, not for you. And then they run away into the barn. And this is when they have a very sweet moment in the barn of the horror house. And they have their like,
well, because he thinks that she's going to be dead because he could have killed her. Yeah. Harvey could have killed her. She definitely, like, he had the opportunity to kill her and didn't because he was like trying to save his kill or whatever. And they have I wouldn't even call it spicy per se, but they hear that Harvey, the girl, escapes, and now Harvey's like chasing her with the chainsaw, the other girl. And the girl and Harvey burst into the barn where they are, and Rowan is ready to attack him with the axe, and he just like goes at it with the axe like Harvey's done. Good riddance. And then Sloane goes and retrieves the body of Harvey's mother and lays her on his body. It's just Harvey has this massive heart attack because they don't like let him die quickly. They have a thing where they're not going to just like, yeah, he hits him with the axe, but he's not hitting him in places that he can like die instantly. He's intentionally like hitting him in places that, where like he knows it's going to take him down. And Harvey ends up having a complete heart attack and dies. And they're like, oh, well, shit. Damn it. The fun's already over.
And they had to leave early because the girl got away. So they're like, oh shit, she's going to get like police and stuff. So we can't like, it's not like she can put out her like orb and do her orb weaving or like anything else.
Yeah, they can't hang out.
Had to clean up and like go as soon as possible. And then they go to Dr. Kane. Tell us about Dr. Kane.
So we meet Dr. Kane, who is the main character of the third novel with the Scythe and Sparrow with Miss Rose, who I really like Rose. And we have Dr. Kane, who is Rowan's brother. So Rowan and Sloane, so now we've met Lachlan. We now have met Fionn, who is Dr. Kane, and Rowan and Sloane arrive there around his house around noon in Nebraska. They enter and they're calling out for Fionn, and this is where we get to meet Rose. So what I liked too is in the very first book, we actually set up all the characters of where things are going to line up, which there's Rose, who has an injury because she's on crutches. And then Rose thinks that Rowan beat the shit out of her. And she's like, no. Like, this is not my like boyfriend abuser or anything like that. She's like, Sloane's like, this is my man guy. She like doesn't know how to like, she's like, is he my boyfriend? I don't know what to call him. And so Rose calls Dr. Kane and asks for Rowan to confirm the childhood nickname, which is Shit Flicker. So we already know that Rose is like a real piece of work. I liked Rose like from the jump. I knew she was like ridiculous character and I was going to enjoy her. So I was like, oh, I hope we get to see more of her in book 2, which we don't really see a whole lot of her, but she does get her very own book in book 3. So we do see a lot more of her, which is great. Sloane teases Rowan about Rowan's nickname, and then they are teasing each other. Rowan asks questions to Rose about her and Fionn, and there's just not a lot that Rose kind of gives away. There's a moment where Rose reads some tarot cards for her, and this is kind of where we get the circus theme with Rose kind of come into play, even just like a little nod to this in the beginning of Butcher and Blackbird. And there's a prediction like of an ominous chaos change and like pain to come. So our story doesn't end here. This is just like a very brief clip of where we get to meet the third brother and kind of get a moment of reprieve so that Sloane can get fixed from how she has like a quite literal boot imprint on her face and her shoulder is like messed up badly. Yeah.
But before we get into spicy time, because that's coming right up next, there is a flashback, what kind of dream that Sloane has. And this is where we're getting a peek into her trauma and how she basically starts this whole killing avenging, the innocent, if you will. So it's her as a teenager, and she's lying in Lark's lap. She has blood all over her hands, and Lark's just like kind of singing to her, telling her parents are going to fix this. And next to them is the artistic director of Ashburn Collegiate Institute, dead on the floor. So we know that this is the terrible person that has essentially been assaulting Lark, and we get a little bit more detail of that later. Not a whole lot. It's basically, this is where she vows, like, I'm never going to let anyone I love be hurt by someone again, and I'm going to make them pay.
Yeah, and this is kind of the turning point for both of them. Yeah, but this is the turning point story for both Lark and for Sloane, and what intricately like ties them together as besties for the rest of their lives, or even sisters almost in a sense. But yeah, here we go, spicy time. Let's do it, Michelle. Tell us.
So spicy time. Essentially, Sloane needs a bath because it's been a while, and they were just at Harvey Mead's murder house. So Rowan has to help her get into the bath by like helping her like take off her clothes and like lower her into the baths because she's having a hard time. And basically tensions rise between them. And this is where he's like, I've been suffering for 4 years. I'm begging you here, either get in the bath or something's going to happen. And ultimately, they ended up having sex, which great for them. This is very, very detailed. So this is where we get the dark romance part of it.
Yes, absolutely.
So very graphic sex.
Where we get the very graphic open door scenes. Some of the best I've ever read. I think Brynne Weaver is very, very good at this. And I like the dialogue that they have. It's not too much. They've waited 4 years. And at this point, it's also not, you 2/3 of the way into the book, we're getting spice.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not a heavily spicy book like that. And you've been kind of waiting for a payoff. And Brynne Weaver definitely gives you one. But there's certain phrases where he'll tell her to be a good girl and find something to grab onto, and classic dark romance tropes that we love.
He's a safe
But then
word.
He says stuff like, instead of I love you, he says, I would kill for you, and I have. I would do it again every damn day. I would turn myself inside out for you. I would die for you. I don't just like you, Sloane, and you fucking know it. It's like, well, fucking A, Rowan.
Yeah.
What's not to like?
Yeah.
What is not to like?
Oh, and in the Irish accent. I have a thing for accents. So
don't forget that part.
Yeah. It makes it that much better. So after that just, catapults their relationship. Ultimately, she moves in with Rowan. She moves to Boston. She lives in Raleigh, North Carolina. So she packs up her stuff, tells her job that she's going to go fully remote, and then just leaves. Must be nice. That's, you call the shots at your own job. That's cool. And when we're there, we get a kind of peek into like meeting Rowan for the first time in Three and Coach, and he shows her the new restaurant, which he names Butcher and Blackbird, and this is where they tell each other they love each other for the first time. And then we get another spicy scene. So now that we got introduced to the spice, we get like back to back lots of it. And this is at their restaurant. He has her, they're cooking together, and has her eat creme brulee while also, you know, experiencing some very intimate things.
Yeah. Some more open door scenes.
I'll let you read that. Yeah. And then they move into the dining room, which is, there's glass everywhere, but, you know, just put it all on display. So very great to read. And then we skip to opening night of Butcher and Blackbird, and it's just like a fun experience. You kind of see the family, see what Rowan has been working towards, because this is what Rowan has been doing outside of the competition the last like 4 years. He's been building up to this restaurant. He's been
trying to figure out how to build this. Yeah.
And
it's a long fucking time.
It is. I
mean, because we've been doing the podcast, since October, 10 months?
Yeah.
10 months yesterday?
Yeah.
4 years to start to build, to open another business. It's a long time.
It is. And all this ending happens pretty quickly. So it's opening night. Next day, Sloane and Rowan are having kind of little tiffs, you know, in their romance about living together. Rowan's just stressed. Sloane's trying not to take it personally.
I don't know if it's really like a tiff as much as just trying to... They don't communicate well because they don't know how.
No, they don't.
One of them knows how to like live with somebody else successfully. And they're trying to they both love each other so much, but they don't know how to do that. And they've got there has to be a point. Yeah, there has to be like a point of contention where they're like snap, and it's like, hey, we need to communicate. And that happens in a very dark way, because of course it does. Right.
But then we get Rose and Lark. They go to coffee with Sloane. We actually get this conversation in Rose's book. We actually get this conversation, which is really fun. And then, because Rowan's supposed to be at Three and Coach fixing a vent hood, and then we get introduced to our last pretty traumatic scene. So why don't you go into what happens at Three and Coach?
Yeah. So remember David Miller? Lest we forget, the lobotomy guy. He's back because Rowan had to take him in, because Sloane was like, you have to take him because he is just another part of he's another victim, and we can't just leave him here. So, you got to take him in. So David, who, works for Rowan, is left behind by one of the staff. So Rowan thinks nothing of this because he's like, oh, his bus didn't come get him, because he kind of uses a bus service that like helps him get to and from places and gives him a job and things like that. Because he doesn't live with David or anything like that. He has his own facility that he lives at, etc. So he's like, all right, cool. Like, he doesn't think anything of it that David's still there, because again, David is mute and kind of just like takes out the trash or does the dishes or whatever. Yeah. He doesn't really do a lot. So he has sympathy for him. He's actually very kind to him in Rowan's perspective. Very kind to him. He doesn't have anything negative to say. He's just like, oh, fuck, the guy got left here. All right, I'll figure it out. At first, I got to go fix this thing and whatever. So as he goes to switch the breaker and returns to the kitchen, he has a gun to his head by David. David is not lobotomized at all, turns out. And he's like, you need to get Sloane to leave when she gets here to meet you, or I'm going to kill her as soon as she gets here. So Rowan's now trapped with David. And this part's really difficult because you read this from her perspective. Even though you know what's going on, you're still just like, fuck. And we've seen this actually like a lot in other movies. We saw it in fucking Twilight, actually. This is such a new moon bullshit thing that Rowan does, but like for good reason. The same thing like Edward did to Bella, which was like one of the most brutal breakups ever. Same type of deal.
Yeah, but Rowan doesn't gaslight her when she believes it. Like, look, Rowan
it was
does it.
Semi. No, I know. Semi, right? Semi. So she comes there and he's like, you need to go back to Raleigh. And he's like, it's just like not working out. You need to go back to Raleigh. And she's like knows it's not been working out or whatever. And he's like, look, we're monsters. We can't be normal. My restaurants are all that matter to me. And she's like, am I unlovable? Like, why am I unlovable? And he says to her, he doesn't gaslight her. Are you sure? He says to her, because you're a fucking psycho. That's why.
I meant afterwards when she believes him. He doesn't gaslight her.
Yeah, but he doesn't insult her.
Yeah.
So she left the restaurant because obviously she's devastated by this comment. And it's like the worst fear that she had becoming realized, which is him seeing all of her and not accepting her. And she's just devastated by this. So she walks through the breakup with Lark, and all of a sudden there's this moment that clicks for her because she's like sobbing and she's talking to Lark and Lark's like, he's a fucking piece of shit. Da, 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 I can't believe this. Da, 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 right. Being a good best friend. And she's like, realizes that the date of the gala that when they were talking is the wrong date. And she knows that he wouldn't give the wrong date. He knows his dates. Like, he knows what's going on. And then she remembers Thorsten's ice cream. Yes. And it clicks for her because she's just like, how the fuck did this happen? And she realizes it. And she calls Lachlan, his brother. And he's like, get everything you can about David Miller. Find out everything. And I haven't used a mandolin since this, by the way. Then we get mandolins ruined.
I always have, like, when I use like a mandolin, I always have like anxiety that I'm gonna like slice my finger. Now I'm just like, you can just completely just, you know.
Oh yeah, they're super sharp. Super sharp.
Go into the scene because like this was probably the most cringy scene. Like this is the one that was just like, I can't.
Yeah, this is a tough one. So David Miller, we talked about this a little bit earlier where Thurston had this thing about like fresh meat, right? I'm using air quotes here if you're watching. And it's because he clearly used some of these techniques that David Miller is about to use on Rowan, which with the mandolin. And he develops this taste that Thorsten had to eat live skin like off the person right away. And as you can imagine, you cannot do this gently. Like he's not gonna, you need to like get in there pretty deep to get what you're looking for. Like you have what do you have, like on your initial skin there's like 7 layers, and then underneath that to get to like muscle and flesh. Yeah, so he's like eating his skin in front of him. Giving very Hannibal Lecter vibes. David also really likes Sloane, and she likes how she continues to make people disappear, and he wants Sloane like as his own, possessively.
And both of them.
Yeah, he wants to collect them. You know, he's like, okay, like well now Pokemon I'm just gonna like collect you, right? Like I'm just gonna like take you in, and well you'll be mine now. And so this whole conversation is like super fucked up, really fucked up. David, that this guy's like all kinds of fucked up. Sloane appears at the critical moment where it's just really bad because poor Rowan is sitting there in a chair just like having his skin peeled off by this guy, and Sloane appears from the shadows like literally like and eating it next to him, like what the fuck. And so Sloane appears from the shadows with this gun and find out that David is the South Bay slasher. So they're just, you know, 2 bad serial killers, Thorsten and the South Bay slasher, who's David Miller, who are besties. That's all that happened here. He wasn't lobotomized. He faked the whole thing because they were both plotting how they were going to collect Sloane and Rowan. And Sloane had been watching him through her own personal security camera at this point. David tells her that he befriended Thorsten for protection, and people like him had been disappearing every August. So he was worried that this would happen. And so these serial killer types are... what I liked about this piece of information, it talks again about Brynne Weaver's ability to do her research about her genre, and specifically related to serial unalivers. It is known that this is dark, but it is known factually that serial killers, they don't typically kill a whole bunch of people in the same area in the same year. They spread their stuff out over multiple years and are very, very calculated, and will have satisfaction off of one kill, sometimes for years and years at a time before they commit their next murder. And so somebody like David, this South Bay slasher, and Thorsten, these are these types of people. And he talks about how, oh, somebody's disappearing every August. They've already pieced together, like, because how they collect people themselves, that there's a predator here. There's somebody that's taking us out. Rowan tries to get her to leave again. And she's like, no. She's like, this is a competition and I just won this. So no, I'm not leaving. And she convinces David that, yeah, I'm going to join him. Like, I can't believe that this is what has been going on. I'm going to join you, David. She then gives David the gun and turns around and slashes him and uses a scalpel to finish David off. Like, this whole move happens like very, very quickly.
Very quick.
Then she unties Rowan. Lachlan comes in, and Fionn, his other brother, is on the way to like patch him up. Then they have this moment of reunion, of course, where the miscommunication trope finally comes to a head, and they have a deep, loving kiss, and they head out to an appointment at Lachlan's leather shop.
And so it's a really interesting part because a lot of this aspect plays into book 2. So it kind of leads up to that. So they stop at Lachlan's leather shop, and Sloane asks Lachlan to help Lark move into her new apartment in Boston because she's coming to live in Boston. That's where her bestie is. And then they go to prison tattoo parlor. Rowan gets a tattoo on his arm, and it's a design Sloane made out of a rake on a polished chef's knife, which is really cute. Rowan also, a couple years back, got the tattoo that she left from when she first visited him at 3 and Coach. So he already has another Raven tattoo. So that was just really sweet. And then we get another glimpse into them as serial killers, right? Because Sloane and Rowan chat as they dismember another serial killer, which is Dr. Stefan Rostis, which is from the gala. So they actually
They did get him.
Unalive him. Yeah. They got him. And their banter continues as Sloane plucks an eyeball out, and the whole thing is like she looks like she's gouging more than plucking, but you know, she's an artist, so she likes the finesse, and he's like teasing her about it. Then Rowan gives her a present, which is the original napkin of their annual August Showdown competition, and he proposed to her, which is really cute. But also, if you remember where they literally are killing and dismembering a body. So, you know,
also fitting.
Also
I feel like that makes sense,
right? And
for her.
So,
and I feel like that's perfect for Sloane because it ties out how she is being accepted absolutely in her element.
Right.
And he's asking her in her element of where she feels the most comfortable, I guess you could say.
Right. Yeah, it's cute for her. And I can't wait to see all this on screen, how it is depicted, because it's also kind of like funny in a way, but it's really sweet. And, you know, it's the duality of what Brynne Weaver is actually able to do with her work. Then, so after that, we have the epilogue, and this is when we're introduced to the main antagonist in book 2, which is the Phantom. This is the Phantom that they were supposed to kill in Oregon, Washington area, and he ends up in Boston for them. He watches Sloane and Rowan leave Kane Atelier, which is his leather shop, and vows to take Rowan's life since he took his brother's life. And the Phantom has a very interesting perspective. He uses religion and religious like words a lot, and you know how he's gonna bring wrath down and you're gonna atone for your sins. So it was very interesting to see that, and you get that more in book 2. So that says up book 2.
Yep.
And
bonus chapters. I love these.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so they're getting married, which is super sweet. So they're getting married and
first
there's some spice. Yes, right, exactly. But first there's Rowan as a sentient dragon man, and we're talking about this because he had made fun of her at the very beginning of the book, talking about monster porn. And so this comes up again, and this is also why Brynne is just so, you know, poetic in her writing of like bringing back these key elements that were funny, but then making them heartwarming. And, you know, who could make monster porn both funny and heartwarming in the same book and call it monster porn at that? Brynne Weaver can. And she did.
Yep.
So she has this moment with them that's great. And of course we have some more open door scenes, but Sloane leaves her an outing with Lark and Anna for a spa day, and they talk about the wedding as they're getting a massage, and she just is like not looking forward to this at all. She's just having so much anxiety about it. And because remember, we've talked about this already, how Sloane is just a classic introvert. She doesn't want anything to do with attention. She's not, not about it, which of course Rowan knows. Crashes the massage, and he's like, yeah, this isn't a girls' weekend. We're getting married this weekend, actually, and the whole ceremony is already done. It's ready to go, and it's tomorrow. Like, you don't have to worry about this anymore. And
I love that for her.
He's like, yeah, and he's like, are you pissed? And she was so excited, and she was so happy.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I'd be so excited too. Planning a wedding,
I know
that's a lot of work. If like just
the
man
initiative
just came in, like, I got it.
I wouldn't even know what to do with that.
Right.
That's definitely not something that I could see happening. No.
You're too type A to
and
let
honestly,
that happen. If let's be real, if like so no, if you were to remarry your current husband and he said, you know what,
my current husband, as if I have 5 others,
and if today's husband to say today's husband, if he was to say, I got it, you don't have to plan a single thing, your anxiety would be like,
oh my
what
God.
do you mean? What do you mean you got it? I don't think you do got it.
Yeah.
I
would need like what Rowan did, which is like, this is exactly what's happening. Because that's he also knew that about Sloane. Because she couldn't just go in there and be like, oh, I've got it. That would have terrified Sloane. Because she's the same kind of thing. So it's like, there's no way that he would be able to do the same thing to her. Because she wouldn't have allowed that either. And I feel like that's the same way of like, I don't mind releasing some of that if I know that it actually is taken care of. The I got it vague comment isn't going to fly. I need to know.
Oh no,
what
I know.
You've got.
You need an
like
outline.
What is it that you've
need
got?
an entire entire
you're saying
schedule.
You've got it, but what is it you're getting? That's
and you would still have notes.
I need to know.
Let's be real. No.
Oh yeah.
He could give you an entire schedule of what he did and be like, okay,
did
well,
you think
you're
about
actually
this,
gonna have to move this there.
Yeah.
But did you actually get the flowers from this person? And okay, let me see the seating chart that you did. And
I sometimes hate that about my own self, like I just
you can't help it. That's you.
I guess. It's exhausting. It's my own self.
Well, that leads us into our interview with Natalie from Nat Just Cakes. So stick around as we talk about Butcher and Blackbird and the entire Ruinous Love series with her.
Yes, more to come there. It's going to be super, super fun. So make sure you listen in to that.
Hey, Natalie. Thank you so much for joining us tonight as we talk the Ruinous Love Trilogy and Butcher and Blackbird.
Hi, I'm Natalie, Nat Just Cakes. I'm Nat Just Cakes on all profiles. So, yeah.
Definitely go ahead and give her a follow. You've seen Natalie multiple times on our podcast before. She is not new to Book Club After Dark, but her Kates are phenomenal. And we're so excited to have you tonight.
It is very
I'm
specific.
excited to be here.
Oh, we're so excited to have you. I keep talking because I'm too excited. But this reason we invited you back this time for Butcher and Blackbird is so specific because we want to talk about all things related to this, because a lot of the reason that I was hyped to read this series was because some of the stuff that you shared was before Michelle and I had read the series. Because you've been a fan. Yeah, you've been a fan of the Ruinous Love Trilogy for a hot minute now, a little bit, I would say, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Probably from, I have honestly made cakes and like desserts for Butcher and Blackbird probably within the first year it came out, which was about maybe a year and a half ago, something like that. And so I read it and made a cake for it right away and made a connection with Brynne Weaver. And it's now I just finished the 3rd cake and have kind of done the cake trifecta.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you enjoy most about Butcher and Blackbird?
Oh, honestly, I went into this series not knowing much. My best friend had read it, and a couple people that I knew had read it. And I'm not particularly a dark romance girly. I will say that straightforward. Like, I'm just not a dark romance girly to my core. I'll dip my toe every once in a while, but I'm very like lighter dark romance. So this was kind of like a perfect fit for me because it's a rom-com as well as, a dark romance rom-com. So my best friend kind of was like, oh, well, this seems like something right up your alley. You should try it. And so I went in and was like, sure, without having any context. Thought I was going to be super scarred when I heard the trigger warning in the beginning. I was like, know if this is for me, but I'll try it. And so I tried it and was so surprised. And I think that's the thing I loved about it the most was that even for people that are not huge, dark romance people, I think that they can also enjoy this because it teeters that line between, comedic relief and then also having that dark romance genre going with it. So like I just love the surprise of it. I love the fact that it's got kind of like a best of both worlds type of thing. And so if you are not a dark romance person, this would probably be a good fit for you to start off with these books and kind of see how you feel.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I agree. So you started off by talking about the cakes that you made in your trifecta. So talk to us about the Ruinous Love Trilogy and your cakes.
Okay, well, so again, when I first started making book cakes back in 2023, this was among some of the first books that I had read that I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. And I remember even making like a video that I was like, Brynne Weaver, I'm coming for you. And I was like saying how I did not expect to like this series at all and decided to just kind of go into it. And I ended up loving it. And so I made a cake for the first one. And then basically I ended up, subsequently making cakes for Leather and Lark and then making cakes for whatever Scythe and Sparrow. I almost forgot. Scythe and Sparrow. And then it ended up being that, what is it? Slow Burn Romance, which is affiliated with them. They have actually put my cakes on their pages.
Awesome.
And then I've gotten sent books of Leather and Lark to my home by Zando Projects, which is the publishing company that makes
Awesome.
these books, kind of as a thank you for making the cakes. And it's just been a whole whirlwind. Yeah. And me and Brynne follow each other, and she's expressed how much she's loved the cakes, which has been insane because I'm just like, you like my work? It's based off of your work. So, but yeah, it's been a whirlwind, and I've just been really, really blessed and happy to be able to like make all of them and have people appreciate them and love on them the way that they have.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
do you have a favorite
incredible.
cake that you made?
But of all those, I would say my Leather and Lark is probably my favorite just because it has like scissors that are stabbing into the cake. They're open scissors, and then it has like glitter, and it's got like the glittery star, and it's got blood dripping all over, and there's got like a golden spool of thread on it. And like, I don't know, I felt very inspired by her crafting to make a very crafty cake. And I just loved that one in particular. I think also because I was like, the first cake, I think I was a little bit more shy with adding details. And then the second one, I was like,
all in.
Just go in.
All in.
I love
and
that.
I saw your Butcher and Blackbird cookies, which were really incredible. Tell us a little bit about those.
The Butcher and Blackbird cookies were actually sent over to somebody who is affiliated with the movie. And so that was a big opportunity to send over. And actually is going to be helping me to kind of set my stuff to be able to start sending over cookies, because it was like, an opportunity to send cookies ended up being a success. So it's kind of just being the staple of being like, okay, we can do this now. And like, we're going to make sure that have this come out. And so I'm excited to be able to announce that I'm hoping within the next month to have that available to send out cookies. But that was a really cool opportunity. I'm hoping that it opens up doors for, who knows, for something outside of, just this, hopefully maybe for the movie itself. Who knows?
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
We definitely love to see you grow, for sure. So
Thanks.
Let's talk about characters now. Who's your favorite character and why?
Ooh, I would say my favorite character. Are we talking in the whole series, or are we talking
be the whole series
in Butcher and Blackbird?
It could be the whole series.
Okay. I honestly love Lachlan. I love me a grumpy man, and so I love a grumpy protective man, and so I feel like he was just very much that person that was like, I am, I'm super stoic, I'm super serious, and he got with the most goofy, unserious person and ended up loosening him up, and then ended up kind of showing him what it is to just enjoy his life. And I don't know, it was a perfect fit for me, and I honestly just love his character. Plus, I was like, you're a grumpy man, you're all types of, like pent up and coiled tight, but we all saw that bonus chapter. So.
Yeah, he definitely got loosened up a little bit. So
she's right.
There Their banter, I would say, was really good because, you know, she was budget Barbie and he was Keanu Reeves. And it was just really fun with those two characters and their dynamic. So I
Yes.
agree with that one.
Is that you guys' favorite characters?
I don't
I,
know. It's a tough call for me.
right. So for my favorite
I
girl.
love Sloane and Rowan too. It's
Yeah.
hard. Yeah.
Okay.
And my favorite girl, not my favorite couple, because Fionn was a little
I
flat
love
for
Rose
me.
too.
But Rose was my favorite girl.
Same.
Just because she was so chaotic and that was
Okay.
like
Yeah, I
so
love her.
opposite.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not coded Rose, period. I'm not chaotic. But I loved reading about her and her process and her backstory and like with the circus life. I really did enjoy her character probably the most. But as far as like couples go, I think my favorite couples are like the first two. So yeah, they just got me into the series. I really liked their banter, their back and forth, and I did the audiobook first and just the light Irish accent. Just
Oh yeah. No, I loved Rowan and Sloane for sure. I don't know. Maybe it's just because Lark was, crafty Barbie. I love me a crafty bitch. Being
It
a crafty bitch
tracks.
myself, I just
Yes.
I was like, it makes so much sense of like, sounds about right. If I was a serial killer, I mean, I'd be a crafty one.
Why not, right? When in Rome, I guess. So speaking of crafts and food in general, which food group of this series, because she's kind of known for this, Brynne Weaver, which food item has been ruined for you or most reminds you of this series in particular when you spot this food?
Ugh, milkshakes. Anytime I think about that whole scene in the second book with
Oh.
the milkshakes and the teeth and and the pizza and the beer, and I was just like, I'm so not that person because like when I read the first book, the ice cream was upsetting, but it wasn't that upsetting. Like I was like, I could still eat cookies and cream
Yeah.
ice cream. When that part came up on the second book, I was like, I like literally gagged. Like I was just like, oh my god. I was like, we added so much shit to that, and it's not only that. Like if it was pizza on its own, but you added teeth and you added beer and you had made somebody drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm great on that.
He was definitely a major villain. Like evil villain.
Oh, yeah.
And probably one of the biggest villains in a book that I've read, just because he's so like unbothered by how disturbing he is. But
Yeah.
I would agree. The little orzos didn't bother you. I can't look at orzo pasta anymore.
Because I think I just didn't think about it too much. Like I didn't really like think about it in that extent too much. If I did, then yeah, maybe. But like I guess I haven't really eaten orzos, so like the opportunity has not come up yet. And now I honestly probably will think about it if it ever comes up in front of me. But thus far, I have not had any orzo pasta. So the opportunity of disgust has not come up
All
yet.
right.
Is orzos so Michelle? Yours is orzos. What about you, Danny?
Yeah, the orzo for me really it messed me up. It
Maggots.
did, and I
that.
think because it's so and maggots just like I just
Heard that.
yeah. Sorry, listeners, for that noise. I apologize. You get a trigger warning at the beginning of this episode, but yeah, that was tough. And and if it's like at the beginning, so she like prepares you, like you read your whole, your list of triggers and all that, so it's coming. The maggots, though, like for me, are just it's a no go. I can't with maggots. They just so gross.
Understandable.
So
Understandable.
gross. Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, and the whole with the cookies and cream ice cream, I was like surprisingly unbothered by it. I'm like, oh, that's funny. Like I thought it was funny. Like of course someone would milk themselves into ice cream and make people eat it. Why not? That whatever. And the whole niçoise salad. It's like,
Oh my gosh.
Gross.
I don't think I've laughed that hard in a book and in a long time. Like that whole scene of her being like, "You ate," and I was like, dying
the whole
laughing.
time. She's like,
I can't
stop.
believe you ate.
Yeah.
She's like trying to get
She's like
alive.
mouthing him, and he's like drugged and
I think
just
that's
like
like the
so
scene that I'm
delirious.
most excited to see on screen. On
Oh,
screen
yeah.
is going to be that. It's going to be just that whole scene of her being like giving him like eyes, and then them like kind of like him just being like, and keep eating
Yeah.
and like, and she's like, no,
Yeah.
stop, no.
She's like, you love me? Yeah, no.
Oh man.
I
Okay.
was confused.
Yeah, he and drugged, Yeah.
He was having a time.
Yeah. But I think that him gagging afterwards when she's like, you, I can't believe you ate it. He's like, I feel like that I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I feel like it's gonna be a whole outing. It needs to be like a big group
To
big
go
group
see
book
it?
outing.
Oh, yeah.
Yup.
To go see the
Yeah.
movie? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll make desserts.
Okay.
There you go.
We're doing
We'll
it.
make a
You'll
whole
make
thing.
your own
We're
version of
going.
orzo and cookies and cream. There we go.
No, oh, God.
Yeah, bro. I'll make little orzo cookies
Oh.
and put them in bags and be like, here you go.
Oh.
That'd be hilarious. Oh my gosh. And like some
gosh, I don't
sausages
know.
because the what's his name? David Miller. He was like sitting there like pounding down raw sausages. Oh, he was all knocked out, and then then Rowan just keeps throwing up everywhere because that's disgusting. But yeah. Your own version.
Rump roast.
Rump roast.
Well,
Literally ate
so
ass.
speaking of serial, yeah. Speaking of serial unalivers, if you're gonna have a serial killer nickname, what would it be? Because we have Orb Weaver, of course. We have, but the Butcher. Like, what would your nickname be?
Killer cupcake.
I like it.
And your MO, would it
I
be
like it.
they die by cupcake or like you just leave a cupcake for them?
No, it'd be like they get baked into cupcakes.
Oh.
Oh, really? Dope.
Hey.
We went Hansel and Gretel.
Which part of
Okay.
them
Yeah,
would
Hansel
go
and Gretel
into the cupcake?
We'll make some very, very questionable icing. We could do some cookies and cream icing, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh,
Hey.
okay.
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 Just
Okay.
saying.
love that.
It'll be like, I'll be a baker, and it'll be like, hey, they come over, and you're like, you want some of my cupcakes?
Oh,
And then,
And then you feed it to the village, and then they're all, oh god.
hey. No bodies left behind. No,
Oh
it'll be
my
not a trace.
gosh.
It'll be good.
Hilarious.
Wild.
That's a good one.
That is.
Hey.
Okay. So Cupcake Killer with a K, right? K for cupcake?
Yeah.
Okay.
you go.
So like the K and the
Cupcake
K.
killer.
Cupcake Killer. I got it. I like it. Okay.
It'll be like, and then like you could call me like, what is it? Like a nickname would be like Cup K. Cup K-U-P.
That's like your word
K.
on this on the street.
Cupcake.
Okay.
There you go.
Cupcake.
Yeah.
Okay. I like Michelle's idea too of like you leave like a calling card. Like you leave remember the wet
Cupcake.
bandits from Home Alone? And their like thing
Yeah.
was to like leave out the water running. So yours would be like,
To, like,
here's my
shove
calling
the
card. Here's a
things in the-
cupcake. You just like leave a cupcake at the scene of the crime too, and like I've done this. Here you go.
I'm saying
know,
either that, I'll make a
Sloane's-
cookie that has like looks like an actual calling card. You're like, here you go.
Ooh, even better.
Hey.
Yes, that'd be great.
Just saying that the possibilities are endless over
Yeah.
here.
Just adds more creative flair as we go along. I love it. I'm here for it.
Hey, crafty bitch over here. Hey.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. Okay, I have a question for you. So a friend of ours made these really cool bookmarks that are the tandem
Oh,
read
these are nice.
options of this series. So you can actually read the Ruinous Love Trilogy as a tandem read. So my question for you is,
That's cool.
would you read it this way? It's pretty cool. So it starts with Butcher and Blackbird, the first 1 through 12 chapters. And then it goes Scythe and Sparrow, and then back to Butcher and Blackbird, and then Leather and Lark come in, and it tells you like what order from a timeline perspective to read all three books because they all enter in time. So my question is, if you read the series again, would you read them as a tandem reading?
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like the thing is I feel like when you're in the stories,
Mhm.
because they're following obviously like the specific couples, I feel like when you're in the stories and like if you kind of step in and out of each story, you're following the timeline, but I feel like you're not really able to experience like the love that's being built with the characters throughout the story, the individual stories, because you're
Okay.
bouncing around so much. So you're following the timeline correctly, and you're able to like, if you're interested in the story itself, that's a good way to go about it. But if you want to be sucked into like the romance aspect of it, I feel like it would be hard for me to be really invested in the romance parts of them if I'm not able to stay within one story for a long period of time, where I'm like, hey, I'm here, and then I kind of get invested in this story, but then I have to be pulled out to go to the next story. And so like I understand why people do it, but it's like with certain stories, like let's say with like Tog, it's like understandable why people do that because it's like a third person and you're kind of like getting more of the storyline of everything.
I was just gonna ask about
But
Tog.
since these are but since these are like first person POVs, like it's more so about the relationship and the emotional aspects of what's happening. And I feel like it's hard for you to like really get really get invested in that if you're not in those stories for a long period of time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fair.
It does, and I feel like these are shorter books too, right?
Mhm.
Throne of Glass, the
Yeah.
two that they want you to tandem read, which I'll be honest, like I still probably wouldn't tandem read that. I know why they want you to do it because you have it's kind of the same thing. You have two different couples that you're kind of following, and you're in two different worlds. So I get why. I'm kind of not a tandem read person. I would give it a shot for
Me
these because they're
neither.
shorter. And I like this
Yeah.
idea of how it's like very organized. Like someone took the time to really like timeline this like super,
Oh,
super
yeah.
well. And I think like it ends, if you see here, it ends at Scythe and Sparrow, chapter 26 to the end. And like it tells you even where the bonus chapters go and stuff like that. So really, really cool concept. And I've never really done it before. But for Throne of Glass, I had no interest because those books were massive. And I was just like, how do
Yeah.
I like, first of all, I'm going to admit this on air. I don't actually have Throne of Glass in the physical books. I know, gasp, everyone fall over. I don't. I only have it in Kindle. And then the concept of switching Kindle books to try and like tandem
Yeah.
both of those books, I was just like, this is not, I don't know how I'm going to do this. This is just too much to keep track of, you know.
I'm not a tandem read person. So like I feel like it's kind of like just depending on your reading style. It's you know what I mean? Like I think it's one of those things that's like it's just a case by case basis. Kind of like the people that like are you a mood reader or are you like a TBR reader? Like it's like everything's linear or is it like you bounce around depending on how you feel? So like if you're somebody who likes tandem reads, that's a freaking cool that's a cool like feature to have, but I feel like if you're somebody like me or you who doesn't really like them like that, maybe not. Like
That's fair.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, so let's get into a game. We're going to play Fuck, Marry, Kill with the Kane brothers.
Sure.
So we have Rowan, Fionn, and Lachlan. So what are you doing?
that's too funny. I did a fuck Mary kill. Well, I did kiss Mary kill on my page with the cake of the Lachlan brothers. So I'm actually well versed in this one. I will say I will fuck Rowan, marry Lachlan, and kill Fionn.
Ooh,
Okay.
vicious.
Why are we killing Fionn?
And Fionn just didn't do it for me.
Okay.
Fionn was not. He was just not like. I feel like the other two brothers were like vicious, but they just accepted the fact that they were vicious, and they were just like kind of like whatever. Like I feel like Fionn was very like, I'm bad, I'm horrible, I'm bad, and I'm like, why are you? Why are you bad? Like you literally saw that this girl killed somebody, and you're not questioning it. And yet you're sitting there being like, but I'm bad, but there's something bad in me. You saw her murder someone. You know that she murdered somebody else. You know that you guys are like two peas in a pod, but you're on this like self-deprecating thing. And I just, after a while, I was like, okay, man, I'm going to need you to hop, skip, and a jump over that.
Yeah.
I need you to just get over it. Like, if it made sense, if he didn't know, you know what I mean? Like how Lachlan didn't know about Lark, that he was like, oh, I didn't really realize it until after he had seen like the finger in the jar and all that stuff that he like realized it. I feel like with this dude with Fionn, I feel like he saw it from the very get-go and was just and he suspected it from the get-go. And then when he went to help her bury that body, he still was like, I'm bad for you. And I'm like, what? Why? I don't really get that.
Yeah, he was very wrapped up in the fact that he killed his dad. And like, I'm just like, okay, it's fine.
But his brothers kill people all the time.
Right.
All the
and
time.
you're just like, and you know about it. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I didn't understand. And
Yeah.
I also feel like Rowan was funny and very charismatic.
Mhm.
Lachlan was grumpy and very like broody, but like, we all like a broody man.
Mhm.
And then Fionn didn't really have any big old spark for me. Like he didn't have anything that really like drew me in the same way that the first two did. So I
Fair.
was like, you get the axe. Sorry, friend.
That's fair. All right.
How
Okay.
about you guys?
I think I would do similar, but I would swap Lachlan and Rowan.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I would
Yeah.
do too.
I'd marry
Explain.
Rowan. Oh, well, I mean, they were my favorite couple too.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked Rowan for his pacing, if that makes any sense. Like the
Yeah.
way that he wooed Sloane and knew like what she needed on a level that she herself didn't even know. Like the romance behind how he like quite literally just like sent her ingredients through a neighborhood
He
kid.
cooked for her.
Yeah. Like
Mhm.
that, is it creepy that he stalked her to do it? Sure. But you know, that's the comedic relief piece of this is like, you know, it's he knew that she couldn't handle like him being there in person and
Mhm.
it would freak her out because of all of her own trauma. And so like the way he cared for her, I was just like, was it perfect? No, but it was perfect for them. And it was just like this way that worked. And he saw her in a way that she didn't even see herself. And so I love that. I thought Lachlan did a good job too, but I think Rowan just did it the best. He did it the best in
Okay.
my mind.
Yeah.
And Michelle?
Yeah. No, so I'd be the same. I'd marry Rowan, fuck Lachlan, and kill Fionn. Fionn for the same reason as you. He fell flat for me. Lachlan just seems like a good time. Man likes to explore. And then Rowan, he's funny, and I love a
Mhm.
goofy guy. And it's like very intentional. It's not like just being silly. They like poke fun at each other in terms of like
Mhm.
that's very in depth. Like the first meal that he had her create was freaking orzo, knowing that it like would
Heard that.
bring back some sort of trauma, but then also connect to the fact that okay, he also saved me from a situation that honestly seemed pretty dark at that point in time, because who the fuck was gonna save her?
Mhm.
Mhm.
She was locked in a cage with no one knowing where she was, and with a dead body. So I did like how their romance was very slow burn in terms of dark romance. I mean, they didn't start really getting connected until after halfway through the book, which is kind of slow burn in this
Yeah.
term. But they just had this burning desire and love for each other, and also respect for one another.
Would have been like 4 years, so they like
Yeah.
really like built up a respect, and which was understandable with her background and stuff like that for her to build up that respect with him. Which is
Right.
why I really liked the intention behind that writing. That it wasn't
Yeah.
like, hey, I have all this trauma and I'm kind of reluctant to trust men, and then it's like, but I jumped right into this. It's like, no, we built up this thing, this friendship, and like
Mhm.
he really like had me trust him and really helped me to understand like he is trustworthy, and then that's when things started to go on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I like intention.
And in dark romance, like that typically doesn't happen. Den of Vipers, I'm looking at
Yeah.
you. It doesn't usually happen like that where it's like believable. And by the way, I liked Den of Vipers, so I don't know what that says about me. But anyway, the it's that one's wild. Strap in and buckle up and read your triggers before we get on that ride. But what I was getting at is that dark romance in particular, it typically doesn't respect that kind of a timeline. And I think that's what I really, really enjoyed about Butcher and Blackbird is that timeline was really true to what would work in a real life situation like that. And
Yeah.
I like that it's going to be on the big screen. It got picked up for film. Out of any of the dark romances that should kind of get picked up, and I'm not saying none of them are worth being picked up or not, but in terms of like realism in a story like this, I feel like that demonstration of time with trauma is very, very well written, and the pacing of it is
Yeah.
really, really good. So I
think
enjoyed that piece. Yeah.
It adapts. I think it'll adapt really well to screen as well because of those like intentional like little notes and stuff with the timeline, like you said. Like I think that, and I'm not a dark romance girly, so there's no judgment in any dark romance, but like from what I understand, a lot of them it's like it would be hard to translate to screen because of a lot of the, content and like timelines and like themes and stuff like that. This one I think would be easy to bring to screen, and it would be, I think a really great introduction to dark romance. Again, I think it's a great introduction for readers in general that don't read dark romance, but I also think that it'll be a great introduction to screen for, maybe to open the door for some dark romances to get adapted. Who knows? This could be the beginning for a lot of dark romance girlies to get their stuff put out there. So,
No, it's a good thing. Random question. If you were going to cast Rowan and Sloane, who would you cast? Would you be your fan cast?
Oh my gosh. Ooh, I have no idea. I have their like I have them in my head, but
Okay.
I can't think of anybody that I would like really want them to be. Does that
Okay.
make sense? And a lot of
Yeah.
times with adaptations, like I really want like people that are not well known a lot of the time. Like I'm very much that person that like I want a lot of time, especially book adaptations, to be people that are not very well known. So you can get a
Yeah.
fresh face and you can like not have it associated with somebody that's like super uber popular and then you're just thinking about like 15 other characters that they played. It's like no, that I can be associate and be like, this is this character, this is the real person.
Yeah, like
This
Sloane.
is
This is
really who
Sloane
they
and this is
are.
Rowan, and that's who I see
Yeah, it's
them
not like
as.
it's
Yeah.
this is Anne Hathaway and this is freaking I don't know like Henry Cavill. It's like no, I want it to be like this is random person that's super hot with this other random hot person. And
Okay.
they're now Sloane and Rowan forever.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
Okay.
Do you guys have anybody in mind?
I actually do for Rowan. So the entire time I was thinking of Game of Thrones. This is the true King of the North, the one that died in the Red Wedding. His real name that's Richard Madden. And I just
Okay.
hold on, let me pull up a picture.
Richard Madden.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, it's the Game of Thrones.
Oh, he's definitely Rowan.
Yeah, right. Okay, look
He
at him.
is.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Just give him some navy eyes.
oh yeah. Okay, I can
Yeah.
see that. That's a good one. I'm not gonna lie, that's a good one.
So I don't know about Sloane, but when I was reading or listening, that's who I was picturing. So
Yeah, I feel like that was a good one, Michelle. That was a good
thank you.
one.
I'm usually
And,
terrible at these.
like repeat his name, Richard
Richard
Madden.
Madden.
So if you're listening to this, look him up. He's actually a really good pick if this is
Great
something you're
pick.
listening to.
Yes. Agreed. Who
I
plays his
agree.
brothers? Those are like the bigger question. We'll have to start thinking about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
I guess
I
Theon
actually
could be
pictured
Kit
him too,
Harington.
Michelle, which is weird.
Really?
You pictured him what?
Oh, Theon. Oh, yeah. Oh, Theon could be Kit Harington.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they played brothers in Game of Thrones, right? So they have mild similarities.
Yeah.
You know nothing,
Sure.
Jon Snow.
Wow. Don't hurt yourself.
I love Game of Thrones.
Sense or not. Oh my God, I did too. Don't
I
get me on
actually
that.
never watched Game of
Really?
Thrones. I'm such a vanilla lady.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
my
The
husband
way I
was
would
into
lose
it,
my
and I
mind
just,
for Game of Thrones cake. Oh my God, Natalie. If you
I
ever
just
did a surprise cake for me,
I feel like
if you did,
that would
be.
be. I am
I'm just
such an
saying.
emotional person in a general sense.
Oh, you can't get any
as
of these
far as
freaking
like my
characters.
investments with my investment in characters
can't.
is ridiculous.
Mhm.
So it's hard for me to watch or read anything that like I get attached to people and then they die. And I know that that's like a big theme in Game of Thrones. It's like everybody dies. And so I was just like, when my husband got into it, I kind of was like, I would maybe. And then I started hearing more about it and I was like, no, because I would be devastated like every single episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, no.
You trust no one.
I was definitely.
I'm weak. Sorry, guys.
Oh, I was such a House Stark girl. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I
same.
tell you, obsessed.
Same.
That was my house.
When Game of Thrones came out, I was not a Daenerys girly. And I know a lot of people were like, Daenerys. I'm like, no. True King of the North.
I don't dislike Daenerys, but I loved her for a lot of reasons. I loved her character arc, except the last season. Let's not talk about that. But yeah, you gotta watch that, Natalie. You've got to watch it.
Well, okay,
truly.
so you've read Fourth Wing. Rebecca Yarros is very similar.
Yeah.
She doesn't give a fuck about whoever you love. She's gonna kill them off.
Yeah.
So it's very
This is
similar.
Hey, but I feel like we got like one person or two people in like 3 books. I know there were like 20 people in like the first 2 episodes.
I guess.
I'm
technically hundreds
I don't know
of them
about
died.
that.
I heard about the
Fourth
Red Wedding.
Wing.
Don't lie to me, guys.
Yeah, my heart broke for the Red Wedding.
Yeah,
So.
I heard about the Red Wedding and I was like, this is not for me.
But that would be the similar
I'm
as like Liam. That was heart wrenching. So that would be,
Yeah.
and that was about as
Yeah,
early
probably
on
on the
as
same
Liam.
level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's like one person. You're telling me like right off the bat, and then it's like right after that I hear like, because like my husband and I have had this conversation where he's like, yes, there are multiple people that die in Game of Thrones, but he's like, everybody gets vindicated because there are just like some ways that like these people, whoever killed them, gets back, like people get back at them like hard body. And I was like, I get that. But I don't want to have to lose people. I was like, I'm great.
Okay, fair.
Okay.
I'm like, I like contemporary. Sorry, guys.
No
I
one's
don't
dying.
dislike contemporary. Yeah, I don't dislike contemporary. I think that there are some contemporary romances like that I have to want to read them in the sense that like I'm looking for like a warm fuzzy, you know.
Okay.
I have to be in like the right mood for that. Otherwise, I'm going to go thriller, dark romance, romantasy any day of the week.
Right.
Those would be my
Okay.
top 3 genres, yeah.
No, I would say if I read a contemporary, I definitely have to be in the right headspace. I do like the vanilla sometimes, but sometimes I like reading about other people's trauma being worse than mine, and it somehow validates my feelings. So that is why thriller is like our vanilla and it's our palate cleanser, even though people are dying and they're murderers and all that stuff. But
well,
there's some validation in that.
Like you guys read those Butcher and Blackbird's like trigger warnings, and you were just like,
that's a recipe book. What are you
sounds
talking
about
about?
up my alley.
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Sounds great.
And
I
honestly,
was
like
scared.
so Butcher and Blackbird is like you probably should not read Feather So Vicious, the duology. That one you're not ready for, Natalie. I'm just gonna tell you flat out.
No,
and
no,
you
no,
should.
no.
I don't know if Kiss of the Basilisk is going to be for you either. I'm not sure. Have you heard about Kiss of the
Probably
Basilisk?
not.
Kiss of the
No.
Basilisk is. It used to be I think, Split and Swallow series, the first book of Split and Swallow, and now it's called Kiss of the Basilisk. And so it's been about a little over a year that it's been out, and I'm actually looking forward to book 2 because of course I am. And that book is, that book is dark.
Yeah, I've tried. Like I said, Butcher and Blackbird thus far
Mhm.
has been the Ruinous Love Trilogy. Thus far has been my only like real like dark romance that I've liked, and it's because it's a rom-com. It's like still funny and still a little bit light. I think the only other one that I really tried, and I was like, no, I don't think dark romance is for me. It's The Ever King.
Okay.
I tried that.
I
and
haven't
was
read that
like-
one. Did you read Lights Out?
and
Yeah, I think you'd be okay with Lights Out.
I didn't. I started it.
I think you would.
Didn't get to continue with it. A lot of people have said that, but
think
they
you'd
were
like
like, a lot
it,
of people also told me that they didn't think that I would like the second one. They were like, I think you'll like the
Oh.
first one. I don't think you'll like the second one. And I'm like,
But the second one,
okay. I was like, maybe.
so you're kind of similar to me that with dark romance, the sexual aspect of it needs to be consensual. Like I don't like it when that part's dark. I can't. And even in the second one, it's not like that. A lot of people have hate with the second one, and I feel like it's just because they still want the golden retriever. That's our first. That's Josh, and the two.
I hear that a lot about that. He's a golden retriever.
Very golden retriever.
In the first book.
Yes, he does great. Morally gray. He does bad things for right reasons. So,
Okay.
but the second one, it follows like a mobster, an Italian mobster. So he's not gray. So it's a very different character, and he still does bad things, but kind of for right reasons. So once you get past that, I think you.
That's
It's
why
not
Den
as
of
bad.
Vipers. Same. It's morally black, for sure.
Heard
Morally
that.
black. Morally black is a step beyond morally gray. But it's
Yeah,
consensual,
I'm pretty
question
sure-
mark, for the most part. 90% plus.
I'm pretty sure that I'm the
Yeah.
one who told Danny about Den
You
of
did.
Vipers and was like,
You
I
did.
don't know if you like dark romance. I've heard many things. And then she was like, ooh, I'm gonna put this down. And then
I read it.
she was like, I finished it. And I was like,
Yeah. That was a time. There was a time to be had reading that one. There was a lot to that. I'll just leave it at that.
I'm sure.
Give it a go. Dip the toe into that one. That's a good
I
wide
did dip my
choose.
toe.
I will tell you. That's a good wide choose. You know what you would like?
I'm telling you,
Broken Bonds. You might like Broken Bonds.
I've heard many things about Broken Bonds, actually. I've heard a couple different things of people saying that they think that I would like that one. And I'm like,
Mhm.
It's not dark
Maybe.
romance. It's really not.
I don't know.
It's like teeters on the line of
You know
fan.
what?
Romantasy,
I
dark romantasy, I
Yeah,
would say.
but it's not that
Yeah.
dark.
I mean, I think it goes into the genre too of paranormal, possibly, and it also messes with this idea of the wide shoes element as part of that too, for
A
sure.
little bit. Yeah,
Okay.
like book 4.
Just a
something like
tad.
that. Just a
Yeah.
tad. In the first
I
book,
feel
there's like no
I've
spice.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
It doesn't. It's not super
interesting.
spicy at the beginning. Mm-mm.
interesting. I like a buildup. I like a buildup. I'm so much more of a fan of a buildup than I am of like go right in. Like I'd rather like freaking be like wanting it.
Mhm.
So when it does happen, I'm like, yes. Then be like from the very get-go of just being like, and they started doing it. And I'm like, I just like I just want like can I want it first? Like can I like yearn for it just a little bit? And so yeah, I'd rather have a buildup. So that kind of just sold me a little bit more on it, guys.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well,
All right.
so spice wise, speaking of Brynne Weaver, on a scale, how do we like how she writes spice? What do we think of her spice ability or her writing? Like a scale of 1 to
Her
5,
spice is
5
good.
being like 5-star spice. What are we talking here?
So I think I would say maybe like a 3.84, maybe.
Very
Is
I don't
specific.
that
really know
rating
because
level of? Is that rating level of, or is that rating quality of?
I would level of because like I thought they were really good. Obviously, there were certain ones that I liked more than others. I liked Rowan's and Sloane's a lot. And then I am not ashamed to say that I actually really enjoyed that bonus scene and
Okay.
in the second book. And
Right.
then
I thought you meant Rowan's when
surprisingly-
he was dressed up like a dragon. I was like, oh, do we
No.
like the dragon?
Yeah, I liked freaking I actually surprised myself in liking the second in the bonus scene in Leather and Lark. And then I really enjoyed Rowan and Sloane's. Honestly, like all of Rowan and Sloane's were like probably my favorite. And I think those were like
There was one part in Rowan and Sloane's that was just like, meh, I know spitting is not something that I'm into.
oh no, I don't know why maybe my brain is blocking that out. I don't remember any spitting, and I probably would have an issue if there was spitting too, because that was the reason why I did not finish Rigging the Ever King. There was a spitting moment, and I was like, I gotta go. I'm out.
I gotta go.
I was like, this is my cue to leave.
Yep. I didn't catch it my first
Yeah,
listen, and then I reread it because we're covering it. I'm like, oh, that was in there.
So maybe
Okay.
that's too, maybe me too, because I don't remember any spitting happening. I enjoyed both of their situations because I was like, I don't know. I loved his whole like show me. I was like, oh,
And all of the
okay.
piercings.
It's like
I learned something.
I was
With the
like,
piercings, I was like, oh, okay. That's how they work. Cool.
you're like that's a thing.
That's I knew piercings were a thing, but then there are different ones for different reasons. I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, for like
Oh, yeah.
different areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I learned a little bit of something with that. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for joining us and talking all things Ruinous Love and Butcher and Blackbird. We really had a great time as always. Always a good time with you.
Always.
Thank you
Yeah.
for having me again.
Of course.
I always have such a great time with you guys. So
Yes.
just be on the lookout for our announcement for when we do this collaboration movie premiere
Yeah.
night
Yes.
at some point
With our
in,
orzo
like, the
dessert.
next year.
Oh God. Slightly triggering.
So everybody always asks for like a 3-tier of the Butcher and Blackbird. Like they're like, oh, you guys, you did a cake for
Oh.
each one separately. So I'm just saying, guys, if we do this premiere night,
All three?
That's
Okay.
It's like ideal time.
Yeah.
hey,
Like, yeah. Well, thanks again, Natalie. We loved
Yeah,
having you.
thank
You're
you.
always such a joy to have on the show, and it's always so much fun. Everyone, please go check out Nat Just Cakes if you don't already, and go check out all her baked goods because her stuff for this series in particular is gruesome and looks delicious. Sure, it does. It's really creative, super fun, and Brynne Weaver herself loved all your designs. So thanks again, Natalie, for being with us, and we can't wait to have you back.
Bye.
thanks for having me, guys. Bye.
Bye. Now it's time for mystery Q&A. These questions have not been shared with either of us prior to asking.
Okay, so I won't go dark with my question. I'll do something a little cozy. Just because. So I know it's October. My daughter is in full like Halloween mode, and it's like pissing my husband off. So
Are you saying
'cause he's very-
October? Like
Yeah,
August
October.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what people
Okay.
are doing now. So like,
Oh,
a
oh.
lot of people like in August they start decorating for fall and everything. I tend to stick to as long as it's like
No.
September 22nd. That's when fall
Okay.
officially happens. But my daughter is very much
I don't know if I'll wait that
like,
long. I feel like
full-
September 1st is safe. Yeah.
Okay. All right. But
Eh.
she has her Halloween stuff. We went to Bath and Body Works and we got a Halloween candle plug in and she has a new Halloween blanket.
Have a
But
time of her
anyways,
life.
so what is your go-to like cozy fall Halloween like vibe? Like, it's just a cozy night. Like, what gets you set into that? Like, you know, walk us through a
Well,
cozy October night with Danny.
oh, it's definitely usually gonna have some kind of wine for sure.
Okay.
And then a blanket for sure, cozy, watching something with my husband. It's probably going to be a series. We watch movies and stuff too, and like I like to watch back Hocus Pocus. I usually watch. I think that's like a comfort to watch, but I also my husband's really big into Halloween. So he loves like the classic Freddy Kruegers and stuff like that, and like they're like hysterically funny now because they're just really funny. And then like Halloween, their OG Halloween is just like a lot of the cinematic elements that they use today were first done in that movie, and so I enjoy watching those, and it's nostalgic in a way to go back in time to that. And obviously, like, I wasn't born when either of those movies came out. I mean, I think Freddy Krueger might have been like the very early 90s or late 80s. I don't even know. But the technology at the time was like great, but like it's terrible now. You watch it back and it's so cheesy. So I almost feel like it's kind of comforting now. Of course, a lot of that stuff I can't watch with our son being awake and stuff like that. So it'll be like after he goes to bed. But another one I want to try to do, which we haven't been able to get tickets for, is Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Have you been able to go to that?
I have not, just because, I mean, the past we've had Disney passes, so I'm like, well, let's just go to Magic Kingdom like on a day and then we'll see all the fall stuff. I haven't done an actual Halloween
I don't know when
party.
they transition to fall.
They transition this month. So I know Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween actually starts, I think, in a week or two. Like, they start pretty early.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I feel like too, like that being in Orlando area for us, like we're really, really lucky that there's a ton of, given that we don't have like the fall elements, like we don't have any leaves changing, we don't have any cool shit like that, but we do have really great fall Halloween activities. I mean, basically all the major theme parks do something. Then all like the Orlando area neighborhoods have something going on. There's all kinds of fall events. It's a great time in like
There's
books.
pumpkin patches.
Usually a lot of books come out during that time. Like this year, obviously for fall, Brimstone's coming out in November. We just had Fallen in the Kiss of Dusk drop. So we have a lot of good books that are dropping. So I don't know, from a cozy perspective, I love to read. So having a glass of wine with like a cool breeze and having my windows open later in the fall is the best feeling. And honestly, right now, like it's going to be a ways away. September's brutal usually, and it's hurricane season and it's rough. We already have a hurricane on the horizon, tropical storm. Right. So we'll hear more about that as we keep going. But I don't know. That's mine. What about you?
Okay. I guess kind of similar. I always have to have a candle. Like, I'm very big on candles. Just stocked our candles. And I love baking in the fall. It's my favorite. I make pumpkin everything. So like
I love a good pumpkin bread. I love pumpkin bread. I love making donuts. It. Chocolate chip pumpkin bread. Oh, so good. Yeah.
So good.
And I don't like baking when it's hot as shit outside. Like I just
no. Yeah. It has to cool down a little bit to where I can like open my storm door and like my back patio. And then obviously blankets. Our go-to movies are Nightmare Before Christmas, Frankenweenie. Like my daughter's really into those movies. Hotel Transylvania. So she likes Halloween spooky stuff, but like not like scary yet. I like horror movies, but I don't know if I have like a comfort horror because my husband, he thinks it's all cheesy. So he's like, I don't really care about horror. So like horror movies in terms of what like I watch, it's not so much, but for like a cozy fall-ish day, it's more of we'll do like Disney type movies. So
yeah, or also
lots
like
of blankets,
comfort movies, like watching like the Harry Potter movies. They're very fall. Yeah, those are super comforting.
We definitely do at least even Twilight one cycle.
Twilight's comforting, the movies, to put them on in the background and get the vibe going. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And that soup season's coming up.
Okay.
So
okay,
gotta make some fresh soup. Anyways, before we wrap up, let's talk about what's coming up next on Book Club After Dark.
Yeah, next week we're going to dive into Leather and Lark by Brynne Weaver. It's a second book in this trilogy. So hit the subscribe button to hear more of our exciting book talk. And we're looking forward to dissecting this novel with you.
And don't forget, we want to hear from you. If you have thoughts on Butcher and Blackbird or suggestions for future reads, drop a comment below or message us on one of our social media platforms at Book Club After Dark Pod. Show us your fan art, theories, or anything bookish you'd like to share.
You can also visit our website, bookclubafterdark.co, to stay up to date on our cozy content and check out our merch.
That's all for tonight. Sleep tight, night owls. Until next time, happy reading.